He's the founder and CEO of one of the biggest and one of the best breweries in the state of Arizona. Michael Marquise joins us today on the Brewmance Podcast. My name is Rob Hunt, joined by Mike Russell. In addition to Michael today, and we, of course, are gathered around a beer. That's what we do, bring people together for well-crafted conversations over a drink or two. Mike, I think today we're sticking to just one. Tell us why.
Yeah, this is an anniversary beer, and it's got some serious beef to it. Michael, I'm going to leave it to you. Can you tell us about this beer? I believe this is something very special that we got up at the tap room when I was there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so it's a Belgian style Tripel. Every year we'll brew something special or unique for the 9th anniversary or any anniversary. And once it's done, that's the last you'll ever see of that beer. So we'll run 754 packs, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Wow. I feel lucky to have this right now. I feel very like we got away with something when you dragged me unmercifully. It was against my will completely into this refrigerated area at the brewery, and you said you must take beer.
Yeah, on a hot day, I had to drag you into our refrigerated walk-in cooler to browse and take a case home. It was definitely torture.
Yeah, browse more like, you remember those old game shows where they did like the supermarket sweep? They'd run through and like start throwing a bunch of stuff in the cart. That's more what it looked like. But browse, okay, I appreciate you selling it that way.
we're keeping it highbrow until you're halfway through that beer, and then it's okay. All bets are off.
Okay, good then. 10-4, then take over, Rob. I'm going in.
I love it. It's actually not a kind of a beer that we typically drink either. So I'm excited about digging into it and seeing how it compares to what we normally do, because we are big Tower Station fans. And I guess we'll start right there, Michael, if you don't mind. I mean, you guys have created this IPA, Tower Station IPA, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the most popular IPA in the state of Arizona. Walk us back to the beginning of it. I know it came out in 2015, so within 6 years and working on 7, it's a massive imprint for you guys.
So Tower was a fun thing. We were in transition from our first head brewer to our production manager back in 2015. We had never tackled an IPA. Quite honestly, I was scared to. There were so many good IPAs in the market. I didn't think we could pull it off, honestly. And then Campbell Morrissey came in, took over our brewing operations. And at the time, Alyssa and I said, okay, I think we're ready to try. Prior to this, we had an extra pale ale because we had wanted, remember when Odell's had that beautiful extra pale ale? St. Lupulin. God, that was a good beer. And we wanted a beer that was delicious like that would, top to bottom had that beautiful hop flavor and aroma. The problem with our version, which we called White Walls, is it wasn't very stable. The hops just diminished very quickly. And so once Campbell got there with the team, we said, here's what we want. We want it to be half Pilsner, half 2-row, and feature Citra hops. Like it to be about 6.5% ABV. And we said, go for it. And the team took their first stab. We tasted internally. And then one of the fun things that Campbell set up was every Sunday we did a tasting charrette. So we would invite guests in and say, would you like a 10-ounce sample and fill out this card? And so we were running these on the 3-barrel pilot system back then. And every 2 weeks, you would have a tasting charrette on Sunday. And we'd get all these notes. Did you like 1? Did you like 2? Which was better? 2 versus 3, and so on and so forth. And then on the Mondays, we'd review the data, and the brew team and myself and Alyssa would then taste the beer. And we would go from there. And after 6 renditions, we came to a beer that we really liked. It was beating the stress test. The hops were staying there. We felt we had a winner. And so we brewed it that 7th time, and that became Tower Station. Prior to this, though, when we first started the brewery, I had flown out to Pennsylvania, rented a Penske truck, and brought back a bright tank and a filter. And once I hit St. Louis, I took Route 66 all the way back. So I stopped, of course, in Shamrock, Texas, at the Tower Station there. And I knew some point, this was back in summer of 11, that we would use that name for a beer. And it just happened to be this one. So it worked out really well.
Now you backed up. We're Michael, the founder and CEO of Mother Road. If I want to back up here because you drove a truck out to Pennsylvania and to pick up a bright tank and all of that. So there was a lot of the story prior to you getting in a truck and driving it across the country on Route 66. were you a home brewer and just decided I can really do this? Were you a business guy that liked craft beer? How did you come about? How did Mother Road come about?
Okay, so a couple things. Yes, I was a home brewer, and I was a terrible home brewer. I would go from getting a ribbon at the fair for a beer to having three things that were drain pours. I'm not a good technician. I am not a scientist. I did brew in the early days, but I have since left the brew deck for the much smarter and much better brewers that Mother Road has today. So I got my love of home brewing because back in when did I first home brew? I guess it was about 1999, 2000. I had my first batch. And it was like magic. In college, I'd had homebrew before, but it was god awful homebrew. Contaminated diacetyl, DMS, whatever it was. It was all pretty bad. And my buddy, who was a chef I was working with at the time, said, "Come over and homebrew. You're going to be surprised." And we did. It was a small kit. It was extract brewing. It was very simplistic. The specialty grains, dipping them in the little bag, and the hops and everything. And 2 weeks later, I came over and we bottled. And then another 2 weeks later, we went out fishing at Lake Mary. We were going for some northern pike. And we cracked open these bottles. It was an amber because you remember it was 20 years ago. Ambers were a thing back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I was hooked. I couldn't believe that we had put this together and brewed it ourselves, and it came out great. And ever since then, there's just been this magic to brewing that I can't believe that I get to be part of this and go to work every day and do this magical thing that you put together 4 ingredients, and in a couple of weeks, you have something to share with your friends. It's just amazing to me still. And that you can make a job out of it. It's just even better.
What was that transition like? So you taste the home brew, and Michael's with us. He's the founder and CEO of Mother Road Brewing. And you taste this and you say, "I'm going to do this." Like, what's that journey like?
Well, it wasn't that simple. So I was doing real estate appraisal for about 10 years, and homebrewing was the only thing keeping me sane. My background is in food and beverage. So I'm naturally that guy that likes to work with people, likes to drink things, eat things, experience the world through your taste buds, basically. So homebrewing kept me sane. But what ended up happening is, you guys remember that Great Recession thing that happened in the mid 2000s? And
oh, yeah.
Kind of got ugly out there. Was less and less fun to work in real estate as an appraiser. And so it was actually my ex-wife and co-founder, Alyssa. She kicked me in the butt and said, "Why don't we do the brewery? You love doing this." And I knew right away I would be the business side of it. Even though those early days, we all tended bar, we washed kegs, we brewed, everybody did everything. I knew it wasn't going to be, I was never going to be the quote unquote brewmaster, head brewer. I just wasn't skilled enough. I wasn't technical enough. So we hired for those. But the transition was really deciding that one day. It was out past Kayenta. The kids were asleep in the back of the van on a trip home from Colorado. And she said, "Let's do this." And convinced me that it was a good move. And obviously it's worked out all right so far.
Now you understand that for me, I'm into the outdoors. I'm into the spirituality of hunting and fishing and just that connection with the world, the connection with what we eat. You have a very special connection, it seems, to the Mother Road itself, to Route 66. Tell us about that connection that you have, especially, I mean, you decided to take the Mother Road back from Pennsylvania, for the love of grief. So tell me about your connection with that. Tell me about what really impacts you and what speaks to you about it.
So I come by cars naturally. Raised by a single mom. My grandparents had my sister and I over quite a bit, while she was working or whatever. And my grandfather collected and restored old cars, specifically Fords. So if you ever wonder why I have a thing for Fords, it's because that's what I learned to wrench on when I was, 3 or 4 years old, when I could first get my coffee cup out in the garage and have a wrench in my hand. So growing up there, I learned to restore cars, work on them, love road trips. My grandparents had founded a car club, the Rogue Valley Old Timer Car Club. It's still up there in Medford, Oregon. And we had Highway 99, which was the historic highway through Oregon. A lot of fun, a lot of trips, a lot of camping, motorhomes with car trailers behind, pulling all of these beautiful old cars. Everything from 1908 Oaklands up through Packards, beautiful Chevys, Fords, never knew. And as a kid, we could ride in any car we wanted. All of these people were, I thought they were kind of old at the time, but they were probably in their 50s, which is not so far away for some of us now.
Time shifts as you get older, for sure.
It does, most certainly. But so getting grease under my fingernails, loving to drive, loving to ride was an awesome thing. So when it came time for college, I was set to go to University of Oregon, but they canceled their hospitality program. I couldn't afford Cornell or Johnson & Wales. That wasn't going to happen. So I ended up coming to Flagstaff to NAU for their hospitality program. To my delight, Route 66 ran through town, and all my friends bailed on me that very first summer in '92, all going back home. I had a job, had to stay here in Flag. And so I started exploring Route 66, east and west, finding all the old dirt patches, the asphalt patches, whatnot. And it just got into my blood. There's something just fantastic about 2-lane roads and running on them. You slow down. You feel the curve of the earth. You feel the road go over the hills. You feel your turns. It's a slower way to enjoy travel. And so I got hooked. And so as we got towards the brewery, imagine my delight that no one had taken the name Mother Road. And there it was. And so we went ahead and put in for the name and went for it. So it was the perfect combination of combining my love of beer with travel and history here in Flag.
I love this. And it's such a great story, Michael. Michael Marquise is with us. He is the founder and CEO of Mother Road Brewing, of which we are discussing. Because you put all your things in the basket. You said everything that well, maybe not everything, but most of the things I'm passionate about, right? Cars, in travel, in beer. I love to experience the world through your taste buds. You got to do all this. So as you're going through this process and you're starting this brewery, what did it feel like for you? Because this is why I always encourage people to chase their passions, because there's a different feel, I think, than if you go for, I want a high-paying job, I want to do this. And sometimes it sucks, because Mike and I in the radio industry, it's the same thing. Sometimes it sucks. You get fired for no reason. You get kicked. You get rejected. You get ignored. But there's still a pull to it because you know you're called to do it. And I'm guessing it's kind of the same for you, Michael.
Yes and no. I think Eleanor Roosevelt said something about you should do something that scares you every day. That's pretty much what starting a brewery is like. You're absolutely scared every day. Are you going to make payroll? Are people going to like the beer you put out? Is the beer even going to come out? Because in those early days, we had some big misses. I am always shocked and humbled by how Flagstaff and the beer community stuck with us through the first 6 to 9 months, because we brewed some really bad beer in those first years, and you don't know better. I'm not a classically trained brewer, so it's a little different than over my right shoulder. Everyone's in the conversatory doing sensory right now. We're doing true to brand taste testing right now. It's a little different. I mean, we have gas chromographs, the lab's there, it's all standardized. Every brewer does everything the same way. It's a very different animal today than it was 10 years ago. And so starting up, it is scary. You should not get into this because of money. As a matter of fact, if you're getting into something for money, that's probably the wrong reason to do it. Unless you're a hedge fund manager, in which case you will put your hands together and say yes, and you'll do something. You'll have an evil cackle and take people's money or whatnot. But no, you should do it for the love and for the enjoyment because even on the roughest, worst days, we flooded the bike shop next door to us in the early days. That was a lot of mop buckets and cleanup over there. Things broke. Brew days ran 18 hours because we didn't know what we were doing. There was just a lot of hard days in the early days. And for money, I didn't get a full paycheck for multiple years. Then I got a regular paycheck. I think 2.5, 3 years ago, the board gave me a raise, and yesterday I got a raise. So it's like very exciting, It's these big things. So you don't want to get into it for the money. It's certainly not about the money. Can you build a good business out of it? Yes. Yes, you can. Can you create a lot of good jobs for folk? Absolutely. But you have to do it because you're loving the culture, the beer, the food and beverage world, all the people that interact with the beer industry. You have to love all of that. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable, because brewing beer, it's really hard work. It's hot. It's dangerous. There's chemicals that you're working with. There's machinery. It's not a luxury job at all. But
we love the result.
We do love the result.
It's the greatest job still, though.
Did you get into it for money? Was there a surprise? Was there a surprise midway? Like, hey, wait a second. This is more work than cash.
No, we knew it was going to be years. As a matter of fact, I think it was December of 2012, we almost bankrupted. Even though I hold the majority interest of the company, we have shareholders, and we had put our last bit of cash. I mean, we were struggling. We had a distribution partner that wasn't a good fit for us back then. It was not about money. We had to borrow. There's some regulars that come in and they floated us some cash, and then the investors floated some cash. And somehow we made it through 2012 into the spring. Hensley picked us up, and once Hensley Beverage got a hold of us, things started turning around. We started selling more. And we were also learning how to be better brewers at that point, and our beer was getting better. Everything we did was getting better, but it was on-the-job learning. We were taking a lot of classes on the side, just figure out how the hell to be a better brewer.
Yeah. Well, but that's kind of one of those big life and business lessons, I think, Michael, the founder and CEO of Mother Road, is you start something and you don't know what you don't know, but you have to figure it out as you go. I think the key is to not give up. If you can squeeze out a way and you're chasing your passion, you got to figure it out, because there's going to be the lessons that you learn, I think, that are going to turn the corner for you. They're going to line things up the right way, but it's almost like the universe, God, whatever, intends you to go through the struggles, because life, I don't think as a human being, is supposed to be easy. There are supposed to be challenges, but that's where you, and I'll use the term, find yourself, right? But that's where you find your groove. That's where you once you get past those lessons, you can incorporate them. Then you can be like, hey, I know some things now. And you now are in the position where you can help other brewers, upstarts, or other businesses, because now you have business acumen that you've experienced over almost the last 10 years.
Sometimes we still make mistakes today. I mean,
yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I can tell you 99 ways not how to do something. And, once in a while we discover the one way to do it right. It's been different because we're able to attract a little bit better quality of staff because we're bigger now. And it's not that I'm dissing staff of the older days. It's just now when we hire, we just hired a director of brewing ops, and he came to us from San Francisco. He was out at Fort Point Brewing, 21st Amendment, Trumer.
Wow.
This is a guy, Jeff. If you guys, next time you're up, come in and meet him. Super smart, wicked smart, great guy, and already 2 weeks in, starting to tweak and make changes to refine systems and make us even better. Kristen Ewer, our production manager, she's been at Dogfish, she's been at Historic, she's been at some other local places. Super smart, super caring about everything that goes on in the brewery, and then Leah Dwyer, our former director of brewing ops, she just left us to go follow her mom into nursing, which is, we wish her the best, even though we're a little sad to lose her. But a lot of very smart passionate people. She had experience at White Labs and quality control at Santan. I mean, smart people, far smarter than I will ever be in beer. So I tell everyone, I just have to be the dumbest guy in the room that asks the right question, because I surrounded myself with a really, really smart crew, and I'd be a fool not to listen to them, because they're great folk.
I remember Dennis Miller once said that he was talking about George W. Bush when he was president. He said George W. Bush surrounds himself with greatness like a hole surrounds itself with a donut. So that's basically, I think, the same vibe I'm getting from you. But you being that, and you being what we do when we talk to brewery owners, when we talk to anybody who's thinking about a brewery, your name comes up quite often. And I think a lot of people seek your advice. And I think the cool reason that they seek your advice is that they know you're going to give it, and you're going to give it in the way that you're giving it right now. You live and work in a very communal society up there in Flagstaff. Everybody's just kind of vibing together. Is that what helps you push into mentoring these people, or is it just kind of a karma deal?
It's part karma and part not making mistakes. One of those many of 99 mistakes that we made in the early days, we were too shy. And we didn't ask for help. We were too nervous, too self-conscious, whatever it was. And it was finally Dennis Arnold of Barrio and Gentle Ben's back then. He showed up on one of the trips up here with the Guild. We weren't even Guild members yet. I think we maybe just joined. Tanks are out in the front parking lot at the downtown brewery. The place is a mess. And Dennis comes in and he looks at me, he says, "The one thing you need to know is you have to ask for help." And we were so reluctant, and he took out one of the construction pencils, and you can still find this behind the boiler at the downtown brewery. He wrote his name, Dennis, and his cell phone number, and he said, "Call me if you need anything." And that was the first time that we got it, that brewers want to help each other. And so I try to go out of my way, if someone asks for help, to give them anything they need, anything they want. You want documents, we'll give you documents. You want cost breakdowns, if you're starting a brewery, we'll give you cost breakdowns. I'm not worried about us. We're going to grow the pie, not slice it smaller. And the better beer becomes here in Arizona, and the more we get renowned for our beer, the better it is for all of us. We're just going to sell more Arizona beer, which is what we all want to do, because that's, at the end of the day, we do have to eventually put a pint across a bar or a keg onto a truck and receive money from it. Otherwise, it's hard to keep the doors open.
Yeah. It's an intentional nonprofit. Yeah.
But it gives us something, right? It's like value on both sides of the table. Like, we value what you create, but you want to make sure that we get the value, because there's so many beers, so many breweries, so many national distributors. So if I walk into a grocery store and I'm seeing Tower Station or Daily Driver from Mother Road on the shelf, it's next to now Santan, it's next to Helton, but it's also next to Budweiser, it's next to Coors. So you want me to instinctively reach for that Tower Station by the quality of the product. And that's the part that is hard to do. And this is something, as Mike and I are doing this Brewmans podcast, we didn't realize how hard it was to replicate beer the same way. So to make Tower Station the same way every time, as you will explain to us, I'm assuming, or Daily Driver or whatever, is a challenge, because you got to get the quality and the consistency right all the time. And that's like, oh my, it's got to be maddening.
Oh, it is maddening, but once you get your standard operating procedures down, it becomes a lot more scientific. When we built the Butler Brewery, the one thing that changed everything was the new brew deck. We spent, I think, $40,000 automating the brew deck. And it was a huge thing to get variable frequency drives. Because at the old brewery, how I would brew a beer, I would go, we're mashing in, and as we're doing the Vorlauf and the Sparge, we would be tapping on a valve coming out of the mash tun into the grant and setting that volume. Then we would run over to the other manifold, tap the inbound pump into the kettle or the recirculation, whatever we were doing. And how I did it was very different than how, say, Sean or Urs did it. So you had three different people brewing three different ways. And I know this sounds silly, but the VFD now, we can spin it up, We have it called out in the SOPs how many gallons per minute. We have the temperatures. We have fine temperature control. This is why I always tell people that home brewing, when you get a really delicious home brew, that is one of the best crafted beers you're ever going to get, because they have every disadvantage of doing it small, not having the tech, not having all the equipment. It's so much easier to brew it at scale. And so for us to get it consistent, it really changed because of the equipment we brought in to make it consistent across brewers, but also with our lab. We really developed a lab program over the last 5 years. Campbell and Leah were just integral in getting our sensory program together, getting our lab together. They created the processes that got us to where if there's a bad can of beer out there, in the early days of Mother Road, if you had a bad bottle, I would have probably put my head down and said, "Oh God, what did we do this time?" Now, if there's a can out there that comes back bad, we have, of course, all the assays here. We're going to trace everything back. But my first thought is going to be, did it get stuffed in a hot trunk at 115 degrees? Or, what could have happened to it that would be outside of our control? Because with all of our quality QA and QC programs now, I'm fairly certain that beer is going to be perfect. So, and the team is more than me. I always have to be the one that doubts. Our team is going to tell you that beer is going to be perfect.
Wow. Okay, because you're talking to two guys that screwed up a Mr. Beer kit. Okay, so this is we see any of this, we get pretty fired up because we know the science. We know the science behind it. I want to step away from this for a second and just the hat I'm wearing was actually a hat that I tried to give you at the brewery. You're like, you know what? I'm into a certain type of hats, and I'm being serious. I think this is so cool because for me, the reason why I love this hat so much is the first hat in maybe 50, Rob can attest this, that actually fit my head in my gigantic odd shaped head. And I'm just so proud and happy that I get to wear a hat. You are very selective about your hats as well. And you said there are two types that you're definitely into. What are those types? And why?
And why? One, well, there's actually three types. So in the winter, you'll see me with a felt fedora, usually beaver felt, because that's nice and warm for up here. But in Flag, you also have to remember that there's a lot of sun coming down, and I just get burnt on my cheeks, something fierce in my ears. So you'll see me wearing a hat with a brim quite a bit in the winter and the summer. Summer, I favor a straw Panama. And then I also do the flat cap or the newsboy caps. I am particular. I haven't worn a ball cap in years. I'm sorry. Thank you for the offer.
Fantastic story. I love it.
Yeah, and it's gotten to the point that for my birthday this year, the crew got me a gift certificate to Heritage Hats down in Cave Creek there. Best hat shop anywhere in Arizona.
Okay.
Guys down there are great. They can repair anything. They can clean anything. And they'll fit you properly. It's a great shop. So, yeah, the crew knows me well.
Yeah. Nice.
But I like that because, it's a style. And, we've been in the brewery up in Flagstaff. You guys definitely have a style. There's like a theme. I don't know what year it is. And we are fortunate enough to be friends with Dennis Alonzo, who's on your board as well, who's been on the podcast with us a couple of times. And go back to the customer service story, if I could, real quick. Yeah. There just happened to be, Mike bought a 4-pack at Tower Station. And he just put it on. So, we got a low fill, like, haha, make a joke of it. But you guys reached out to us like right away. Says, we're going to make this right. But that was, we thought that was so cool that we got to link up with Dennis Alonzo and, hang out and have a Tower Station. And it was on you guys, which was really, really kind of cool. Because I think that's that personality that you have, Michael, and that your team has that showcases throughout the brand, whether it's the hats or whether it's the old cars or the black and white photographs that you guys take and put on the walls up in the brewery. It's it makes it feel like, to me, it's a fun place to be at Mother Road, not just to have a pint or 4 or just to hang out, but to work there as well. It seems to me that the culture is important to you.
Culture is huge to us. When was it? 17, 16, 17? I don't know. It all runs together.
They blend together. Yep.
The last year of COVID is made, there's time before COVID and then there's time after COVID. But back then, we had an intern for 6 months, Oliver Adams, who you guys have, of course, met and interviewed. He came to me and said, I want an internship. And at the end of the 6-month internship, we offered him a job. And he said, oh, no, I'm going to go learn from this big company. I said, okay, then, your last duty is to write the job description for whoever we're going to hire. And at that point in time, he came back 2 weeks later, knocks on the front door of the house, says, can we have a beer on the patio? And I said, okay. He's like, I'm an idiot. I want to finish this whole job. We didn't get far enough. So somehow he's still been finishing this job for the last 4 years now.
Yes.
And he's now our director of people and culture, which has some of those human resource characteristics of hiring and things, but also the cultural side. So back in 2017, we knew as we doubled to 2 breweries that it couldn't be just me driving the culture anymore, because I was going to be in 2 places. And in this case, sometimes there can be days where I won't even be in the office or in the brewery. And we had to start codifying that culture. And that's what Oliver did, is he started laying down, really hammering, what is our mission? Why are we existing here? What are our values? And the crew helped us. We argued, we fought, we had some great discussions, and we finally came up with those values and the mission and our culture. But that also went through, the handbook, the hiring process, everything that we do. We now hire for cultural fit before skills, because unless you get to the level of, say, Jeff or somebody that's a director of brewing ops that has to come in and have mad skills plus good culture, we can teach someone to brew. We can teach someone how to be a host and pour beers and be a great person at the tap room. You can't teach culture, though. You can teach skills all day long, but culture is tough. It's either they're going to fit and jive with who Mother Road is, or they're not. And that's really changed how we hire and how we work, which has been really a game changer for us, because we get a little more longevity out of our crew. A lot of our brew team has been here multiple years. Hospitality, we have multiple year veterans on that team as well. That's really a neat thing for me to see. We had a comment from someone at the city, well, brewers are just low paying jobs. I'd say, well, there's some people on our crew that would disagree, that are buying houses in Flagstaff right now off of this job. So, are we paying everyone to be a Rockefeller? Not yet. But
Not yet. See,
are we paying at market or better with benefits and such? Yes. I mean, that's important. If you're here a year, you get 3 weeks of paid vacation. We have health care.
filling out my application right now, Michael.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're looking for an engineer right now, so
Not Rob.
Don't have that skill set. No.
But they said they'll train you. Just got to fit in with the culture, buddy. They'll train you how to be an engineer.
I can fit in with the culture. I got that.
Pneumatic pistons, packaging line stuff. You'd be fine, I'm sure.
This is a family program, Michael. We don't need to talk dirty like that. That's not okay at all.
Oh, those pistons are named Bimbas too. So
here we go. Free flowing jokes now.
Do they have ball bearings in them? Oh.
Michael, the founder and CEO of Mother Road Brewing, how was from day one of opening the brewery, from the day your ex-wife kicked you in the tuchus and said, let's do this thing, to today, how has just this journey, not all the other things in life aside, how has this journey changed you?
Oh, boy.
How are you different?
Well, if you look at the picture of me from our first anniversary, I've aged like Dick Clark did that last year of his life. The first year photo, I look like I'm 12 years old. So that's changed, but overall, I think I've learned to be much more patient. It's tough. We deal with I've got a crew of about 35 now, which is still relatively small by brewery standards. We've got a lot of moving pieces, equipment. We've got vendors. I've been reading a lot on Stoics lately and learning how to let go of the things that I can't control. And it makes me a happier person. I think it makes me a better papa to my kids. And that's probably been the biggest thing is patience. It's a tough business. There was a lot of lean times. I mean, even just a year ago, March, when COVID first shut everything down, the crew that decided to stay on that we didn't furlough, I gave them 55-45 odds that we would fail. But it was something I couldn't control, and we just had to kind of keep smiling and keep on doing the lock every morning and turning on the boiler and going to work. So that's the biggest thing that I think you learn is there's just so many things in brewing you can't control. Batches will go bad, equipment fails, people get sick and can't show up to work. You just roll with it and keep on showing up. You want to know the secret of keeping a brewery open? Show up the next day. And then just keep repeating that over for 10 years. So that'll get you here.
Well, it doesn't hurt making some fantastic beers along the way as well. That does definitely help. But you're right. I mean, I think that's a big lesson for anybody, because I think so many people give up on their dreams. Like, it gets tough and you're like, I'll just go take a different path and do this. And you obviously, Michael, at Mother Road didn't do that. So let's talk about the last year, if you don't mind, the pandemic. How did that change Mother Road? I mean, because you guys obviously, Flagstaff had even more restrictions than Phoenix did, where Mike and I are, and we were like, wow, this is really tricky. So you guys had more restrictions. At some point, you guys decided to put Tower Station in the 12-pack. So you had to innovate in a certain way. But if you weren't allowed to have people in the brewery, how do you make money? Right? How do you get more product out?
Okay. Wow, where to even start? Boy, I think the first place to start is thanking the Mother Road crew. Without them, the few folks that chose to do the risk thing, I mean, we had the letters of transit here in Flagstaff because we're so strict that if you got pulled over, were you really going to work or not? Was it a real trip? Our crew pulled us through more than anything else. Without them, risking coming in with all the unknowns of COVID in those early days, the social distancing, all the plans, that was an incredible thing. And I can't thank them enough. Beyond that, Oliver with People and Culture, keeping abreast of everything with CDC. I was getting my daily briefings from Johns Hopkins. What was the city doing? What was the state doing? What was the Fed doing? And trying to stay in the mix of all that. But who really got us through was our guests. Once we were able to reopen for to-go service, and that was allowed, we had days in here off of to-go only that were higher rings on the register than if we had been open.
Wow.
And I can't thank Flagstaff and all of our guests that came in, because that cash flow was critical as we bridged through, the PPP, the idle loans, and looking through all the things that were out there to keep us afloat. We were a little bit lucky because we had brought on some additional cash. We were about to make some purchases, and we ended up taking those loans and using them for operations. So, if you can't be good, be lucky. And we got a little lucky in there to where it worked. But from there, we reopened Memorial Day weekend that year, very carefully, very cautiously. We have a new position called the gatekeeper, which is actually the person at the front of the tap room, guiding you to a table and giving you the rules and the spiel. As we have gone out of the masks and are slowly relaxing, we're actually going to keep that position, and we're going to stay with our spacing. We love it. Our guests love it. We're getting more time because we've slowed everything down. Instead of being 3 deep at the bar and waving your $20 around trying to get the bartender's attention. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's tough. Yes. It's not fun. You're at a beer bar like that. You want to ask what's the latest beer, or God, what hops are in this. So we said, the hell with it. We're going to slow it down. And so you're not going to see that unguarded gate. It's going to be us bringing you in, getting you to your table, explaining, the day specials from the roadside stove, what beers are on, what's new, what you should try. And then when you get up, it gives us a lot of time to actually run you through a full tasting panel. We have 14 taps. If it takes all 14 for us to find something you like to drink, we're going to do it, because that's what we do. That's part of our radical hospitality up here. And God forbid we don't find a beer in 14, then we're going to give you a can of cider or wine, and
we'll find something.
We're going to find something. And if not, we're going to send you to one of our neighboring breweries and they'll find something there. But one way or another, we're going to get you guys, a guess where they need to go. But the other thing on a more practical standpoint, COVID allowed us to reassess everything we did, all the systems in the brewery, and Leah and Kristen did a great job of this through COVID. We were running with about 3 full-time staff in the brew house less than pre-COVID, and we put out more beer in 20 than we did in 19. Not much, about 600 barrels more, but I'm going to take that win and smile all the way, because a lot of breweries did not have as good of a COVID as we did. And it was tough to hear from some of our fellow brewers. It's just really sad and painful. In the restaurants, a lot of people just really, really rough COVID. So hopefully everyone's coming out now and we're recovering well, but it taught us how to do things differently, how to be more efficient, make changes. We're doing some high gravity brewing on the hot side right now, which is allowing our crew to get more volume out with less time during the day. That's been good. We did some yeast studies in there. So we've knocked almost a day and a half to VDK off of our fermentation, which doesn't sound like much, but it gets you about an extra tank turn or two a year. And
nice.
those things just kind of make it a little more efficient. So that we spent a lot of time on science because it was slow, and we did okay with using our time wisely. And again, that's our crew. One of our values is curiosity. When I said we fought over those values a couple of years ago when Oliver was setting things up, the brew team really felt curiosity should be one of our values, and it is. They are constantly doing new things. We got several points of efficiency changed up because 2 of our brewers spent 3 months slowly adjusting half mill at a time on our mill to get the crack right. It's fun things like that, and I love our crew for that. They are all little scientists in their own ways, and so much they contribute to the success of Mother Road.
It's certainly a good example, Mike, to follow the science, make beer better and make more of it.
That's right. That's the science we want to follow. That's the fun science that we want to follow. Now, Michael, you mentioned slowing down, which kind of scares me a little, because as greedy as Rob and I are, and we want Mother Road all to ourselves, we want to see you guys blow up. We want to see you guys be nationwide. We want, if that's in your goal. But you were talking about slowing down, which makes me think like you guys are kind of cool in your spot right now, or are you looking to the future to expand your reach?
Oh boy, right now we're actually. Tanks will be here in about 6 weeks. We're adding 8,000 barrels per year of capacity onto the cellar bay. So I'm sorry we had to close the Butler tap room because there's tanks going in there because you guys are drinking too much beer. So, which is a good thing.
My fault.
Keep drinking it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good for everyone except your liver, but science will figure that one out at some point.
Something's going to kill me. Something's going to kill me. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So in the last few minutes, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
We're going to continue to grow, but I would expect to see Mother Road reach. We'll definitely reach regional status this year as we go over 15,000 barrels, and we're probably looking at a southwestern footprint that feels comfortable to us along some of those Route 66 states. That's a very genuine place for us to be, and that's where we want to be. Should we find some partners to merge with or other like-minded breweries? I think that's going to be something that will probably happen in the coming years. Is you're going to see a lot more of brewery groups to help take some advantage of those economies of scale, economies of marketing, distribution, those sorts of things. I think that's going to be a natural progression of breweries. I don't know if there's going to be a lot more acquisitions by the big guys or not. I don't know if Bud or Miller are going to continue to buy smaller breweries or not. And you just saw Three Weavers actually repurchase themselves out of the Canarchy group. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in beer, but I think overall you're going to see breweries starting to band together to do those things, to really see the economies of scale to compete on that larger arena of a multi-state platform.
Canarchy. I just wrote that down. That's fantastic. I hadn't heard that before. Canarchy is fabulous.
They're a private equity fund, a very unique business model to gather a group of breweries together. I think it's actually a clever model.
Interesting.
But seeing that one bought themselves out, I'm curious on what it's like to be in that model, since someone wanted to do something different. So who knows? But I think you're going to see a lot of things happen in beer in the next couple of years, just because COVID shook things up. Everyone's rethinking where do they want to be in 5 to 10 years. And distribution too is changing. Distributors aren't picking up every brewery now. And I don't know if you guys have been to the supermarket, but there's something that's starting to take up shelf space called seltzer.
Oh yeah.
And that's a different thing. You're seeing a lot of craft spirits move in. So brewers are going to have to be very adaptive and really holding on to their consumers and their guests as we see some of these other beverages come in. And cannabis, of course, is an interesting one. You look at a Venn diagram of craft beer lover and cannabis lover, and they pretty much slide right over one another.
It's like an eclipse.
It is. Full eclipse at that.
Yeah.
Now,
how much? How much money? How much money do I have to invest to help Mother Road take out the entire seltzer industry? Because it's a phase in my eyes. I want it gone, especially when there's when there's Instagram days like White Claw Wednesday or whatever the heck it is. I want it gone. Help me, Michael.
Okay. Remember how I was saying I've been studying the Stoics?
Yes.
This goes into a thing here. I don't have to worry about what is in other people's hands and what they're drinking. I only have to worry about the pint that's in my hand that I'm drinking. It has let me, I worry about seltzers on a big level of business and strategy and those things. But if someone likes drinking a seltzer or a Bud Light or wine or whatever the hell they want to drink, if they're enjoying it, they're enjoying it. I don't have to worry about it. I only have to worry about what I'm drinking. And that has helped me quite a bit.
Okay. Rob talks about the Stoics quite a bit as well. So I'm just going to go make myself a sandwich. You guys can start that conversation.
We can talk about Marcus Aurelius and Seneca.
But at the same time, I'm going to throw this out there. Some of those Stoics were conquering rulers. So, I just maybe want to help Mother Road conquer the entire craft beer industry. That was it.
In a Stoic way, right?
Stoic way.
Culture matters. Marcus Aurelius would say culture matters.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does. But again, it's those things that we can't change. I'm not, if someone loves a White Claw or a Truly or whatever it is, and they don't like the hops in an IPA, I don't need to spend time trying to convince them and telling them that they're good, bad, or indifferent for drinking something that I don't care to drink. It just doesn't, it's not worth my time. I would rather just keep working with our beer folk and introduce them to new flavors. If you can convert those other drinkers once in a while and you find that they like, great. But otherwise, drink what you like. Life's too short to fight over who's got what in their mouth, and it's not a thing.
It's called the dichotomy of control, Mike. The dichotomy of control. Worry about what you can control, and don't worry about what you can't control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stop using your multi-syllabic college words there.
I'm going to show you something. I'll show you something, Michael. Here we go. This is how my wife actually founded.
I told you.
Yep. My wife founded a company based on Stoicism. So
I'm out of here. You guys.
And if you're listening on the audio, I held up a handbook for new Stoics, which my wife and our friends here, our business partners here, and I have been going through week by week, learning our Stoicism lessons. So Michael and I will talk about stoicism separately.
Yes.
Don't you worry.
Go nuts.
We'll hang out and we'll go find a corner of the brewery and drink some beers and
Deal.
trade our favorite Aurelius passages and stuff.
I love it.
Good.
Oliver and I will go on a hunt somewhere. That's what we'll do. You guys can go do that. I'll steal Oliver and we'll go find something to hunt. We'll bring it back and we'll have a big barbecue together.
And I think this is a perfect plan. I say yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To that.
So, Michael, before we get out of here, because I know you got to go do some jujitsu because you're a jujitsu guy too. But if you could take any car you wanted and driving down Route 66 on a road trip, what car? Because again, Mother Road, on the cover of just about every can of beer, there's a car. So if you're thinking about a car, Michael, what are you thinking? What's that first go-to? And do you have it, or are you going to get it? This particular car.
Yeah, the one I want, I got to sell a hell of a lot more beer before I can get it. But it's a 1935 Auburn Boat Tail Speedster. That's what I want. It's on the can of Tower Station. And that was a very deliberate choice way back in 15. So I have to sell a hell of a lot more because they're super expensive. But that's what I want to do is have one of those, put the top down, and fly out on that open stretch of 66. We actually have here in Arizona, we have the longest unbroken stretch. You can get out there on Crookton Road and go all the way to Kingman. It's magnificent. If anyone hasn't done it, you should. And you can get the old kitsch of Grand Canyon Caverns. You can visit the Wallapai Tribe. I mean, there's so many cool things out there on 66. So
love it.
Got to get out on the open road.
Until your dream car, you do have a pretty cool Bronco, though.
I do. I have a 66 Bronco that works intermittently for me. Someone miswired the ignition system. I don't know who that was. So I'm waiting on some parts. Even old Ford parts are getting a little tough right now. Things like distributors, because I burnt up the distributor pretty bad and ruined some parts between the plates, and they won't just sell you the little parts between the plates. You have to buy the whole thing. But I've got that. I've got a 66 Mustang, which was my first car. I bought in 87 when I was 13 and restored that with my grandfather. And then I have my grandfather's 1930 Model A, which was my first manual transmission I learned to drive when I was 16. So those are a lot of fun. But I've always wanted an Auburn. My grandfather had a couple before they became too expensive to drive, and he sold them off and bought a motorhome instead, which was cool for us kids. So,
that's
but yeah, one of these days I will have one. It is a long-term dream. I just need to sell some more beer.
I remember sitting standing in the back of my mom's 66 Mustang. And that was I'd hold on to the headrest. I'd just hold on to her seat like this while she was driving down the road. We called it Lulu Bell because that was the sound it made when you turned it on. It went Lulu 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 Lulu. That was it. It was, yeah.
Well, mine's named Natasha, so I get it. You got to name your cars.
You do.
See, and my F-150 is a Falcon. So okay, cool. Yes, I do name everything. Rob rolls his eyes, but I name everything. But we did name Rob's car. I got my kids named Rob's car Optimus.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's a blue Civic hatchback, so it has to have a cool name. So Mike's son was able to say, boom. And Mike's this is really cool. Mike's son even bought me the Autobot emblem that I put on the back of the car. With his own money. Like, that's really cool. So forever it will be Optimus.
That's when you know you've raised your kids right, is when they go out of their way to do cool things for your adult friends. That's when you know you've done it okay.
Well, I appreciate that. The rest of it I've screwed up. So at least I've done one thing right along the way. Yes.
And his daughter made me brownies the other day, which were phenomenal. So life is good at the Russell household. So,
damn, who do I have to get on board to get the baked goods here? This sounds like a thing.
We'll bring some up to you.
Let us know.
That's right.
We'll make, or we can bring them up. Absolutely. So let's talk about performance cars. I don't know if you go performance cars. Do you have a favorite type of performance car? I don't know. I'm a Lamborghini guy. I'm a Ferrari guy. Anything in that realm? Or you're like, nope, I'm sticking to classics. I'm
kind of in the old school. I like older cars. The the performance ones they're fun. I love seeing, Jay Leno's Garage. You see him do, the Veyron or something that is just absolutely insane. And while I appreciate the power, I like being able to go out and pull the spark plug and change them myself. So probably anything you're ever going to see me driving besides the Honda for the kids, we're going road trips and things, it's going to be something old that is just something I can work on that makes sense. You know what a shock is. You can trace, even though some of us can't wire it right, you can trace the ignition wires. You know where everything goes because there's no computers. I had done a 2.2 liter super engine in an 82 Westy van. And that was just a challenge because of all the electrics and all the timings and things, because that was a very modern, I think it was a late 90s legacy engine. And I loved it and it performed well. I mean, not that you should get a brick up to 85 miles an hour, but you could. And it made a great road tripping camping van. But I never enjoyed working on it much because everything was so hidden and you had to peel back multiple layers to get to anything. Airflow controls, idle controls, emissions controls. I really just enjoy old cars that are there. I appreciate the modern. I mean, heated seats up here in the winter are deluxe.
Game changer.
But air conditioning, those are fun things. But also, there's just something magical about needing a gallon of water in the Mustang. All the windows down, the vent windows are open, your leg vent is open. And you're going across the Mojave, it's 110 degrees and you're just glugging water, but you're enjoying it and smiling because you're in a Mustang. So I don't know. There's a place for convenience and there's a place for old cars.
I used to have a thing for Jeeps. So my last Jeep was 85 CJ7, and you could lift up the hood and you could look and you could see what it was. People would actually look up the hood because they knew what was going to be in there. Even my F-150 right now, I lift up the hood. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Look at this big old piece of plastic over some computers. It's not impressive.
Yeah, there's a cover, and it's I think it's probably like the Wizard of Oz. You don't want to see the workings beyond the plastic cover.
That's a good point.
You just don't want to do it because you need computers and tech to plug in and tell you what's wrong. Whereas, an old car, there's something leaking or smoking. There's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Much easier, but that's just me.
Good. No, I think that's fabulous. Go ahead, Robbie.
No, we're gonna wrap up here because I know you got to go do some, I don't know, fighting or
rolling around, man.
Yeah,
my sparring partner's got to beat up on me. He had a rare Wednesday open, so he's like, "Let's go today," and I'm like, "Okay." So yeah, nice. I'll probably have bruises all over me by 1:30. It'll be awesome.
So it's a good thing we didn't do this tomorrow because you'd be like, you maybe have like a bruised cheek or
No, that would have been awesome,
guys.
That's true. Get a black eye and let's do this again. I want to see battle scarred Michael. Like
only if I can bring Mark on and say, see, look at what I did to him, though, right?
Oh yeah, you should see the other guy. Because you have to be able to say you should see the other guy. Yeah.
No, there's never. I catch him like once every maybe every 10 matches. I might get a lucky catch on him. He's rather good and a belt ahead of me. He's a good sparring partner. We're a good match.
Nice.
Well, it's kind of like how you approached Mother Road, right, Michael? It's like, all right, I'm going to learn from better people. I'm going to learn lessons. So it's very nice. So you're learning from the belt ahead of you, so you can progress and learn some new moves. It's fantastic.
Before we go, we keep saying before we go, we just like having you around, Michael. I understand this.
It's that 9% beer, I'm sure.
Actually, I want to talk about this 9% beer because this 9% beer is changing for me. And not the beer itself, or not my feelings about the beer. It's what you said. You said this is your 9th anniversary beer, and once it's gone, it's gone. You're never never gonna come back. And then it made the can special. And for me, I've looked at people posting things, and they're talking about their X amount of time barrel aged, this, that, and the other thing, and they've been sipping it all night. And I'm like, meh. Let me go grab my IPA. Let me grab a Tower Station thing. And I would have been too deep already with a Tower Station. I still have half the can left because what you said made it more enjoyable. What you said made this experience of drinking this beer more enjoyable. And now it kind of gives me an understanding of really what I'm seeing a lot in the craft beer and the one-offs. And it's something that it's something I'm growing right before your eyes. Check me out.
Oh boy. Next thing we're going to get him reading some of the Stoicism books with us. It's, he's malleable right now. We need to take advantage.
I love it. Michael, you're exactly right.
I'm reading The Art of the Hunt. I'm just going to keep that going into my hunting techniques, and we'll go with that. And then we can go on hunts together, and you guys can teach me about Stoicism. How about that?
There you go. Drag me out on a hunt. One of us just needs to get drawn, right?
All right. Well, let's make it happen. Actually, Oliver, who we mentioned earlier, is just batting 1,000. So he's hated in the Arizona hunting community. Hated. People loathe him.
But those of us that were the recipients of some of that elk, so tasty.
Oh, yeah.
We've had elk burgers. We've done some of the steaks. Oh, just amazing.
He didn't make amazing flavor. We made tacos 2 weeks ago. Did you try the tacos?
No, I missed the tacos.
Okay, yeah. He's got a little bit left. If not, I'll bring some up. We'll have the elk tacos. The way he made them, fantastic. We're gonna do it again.
Was that the heart tacos?
No, not the heart tacos. It was we actually did some ground, and we did some Slavo seasoning and some good in the tortilla lady apparently is a thing in Flagstaff. I don't know her, but I want to marry her. And we did the tacos with those. They were phenomenal. They were, and it was on a tailgate. It was on a tailgate at Bison Park.
Buffalo Park.
Yeah, Buffalo Park. Right. So can't beat the scenery, everything.
Well, and he's promising me tacos. We just got a cow from our farmer that takes all the spent grain. So we're calling it our 360 beef because it goes out in the truck as spent grain, comes back as beautiful packaged goods. It's
awesome.
Delicious. So he's going to do a cow heart taco for us, which I'm really excited to try. We have a bunch of foodies here at the brewery. Almost everyone here is big into food and beverage of one sort or another. We're finally having our first gathering in July of the whole crew. I can hardly wait to see what is brought to that because it's going to be some good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead, Rob.
We love it. We appreciate you hanging out with us, Michael. I know, again, you got to go, but this has been awesome. And here's what you need to know. I will leave you with this. You guys have done, this is a compliment. You guys have done such a good job where Mike and I review beers. We taste beers all the time. There has not been a Mother Road beer that we have not liked. So whatever you're doing up there, whatever you're doing with your team is working. Keep it up because it is a pleasure to be able to enjoy the beers the way we are, including this Tripel, which I normally wouldn't enjoy, but man, it's just smooth and it just tastes good. So you got the right team in place.
Kristen nailed that recipe because I didn't want it to go too over the top Belgian, so we worked a little bit, and I think she balanced it nicely. It's still big malty, but yeah. No, I really do work with one of the best brew teams in the state. Sorry, other breweries. I know I'm biased, but by God, I got a good crew, and they've got each other's back, and it's just a pleasure to work with all of them up here.
And there you have it. Thank you, Michael, from Mother Road Brewing. This was a great conversation. That's what we do here at the Brewmance. It's just honest conversation around a great craft beer. And let's talk about this craft beer, Rob, because I had this in my fridge, and I was, it's a Tripel. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to dig this. I'm not into the big heft kind of stuff right this moment, especially at 118 degrees outside. But this is their 9th anniversary brew, and it's a Belgian style Tripel. And they just Mother Roaded the crap out of this thing and made it a balanced, awesome brew.
And I think that's one of the keys to I think the brewers that can give you the most balance are the ones that win. Because we talked to Brian Helton about that too a couple of weeks back. If you didn't catch that podcast, he dropped, if you're a business owner, a ton of information for you. But the key to his beers are balance. And I think the key to Mother Road's beers are balance too. Because Tripels, we reviewed one, a St. Bernardou or something like that. And you can find it on our YouTube channel. And we weren't vibing with it. It was like $5 a bottle. But I was like, I'm going to buy it because I want to try it because it's supposed to be good. But I was disappointed probably because of the price. Yeah. But this one is not as Tripel-y, I guess. So if you've ever had Tripel, Tripels, the Belgian beers have a distinct flavor.
If you don't like malt, don't drink it.
No, but this one it's a lighter touch. It would almost be an entryway into these bigger beers, these bigger Tripels. And again, it's just that Mother Road man, I don't know if they hit a home run every time, but they come close to hitting a home run every time.
That's my review right there.
9.
Number 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's
9
got
for
a
9.
big fat 9 on it, and it just makes sense to be a 9 because this is. Am I going to drink it by the pool? Probably not. But if somebody handed me one in the pool, I'd be like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
it's that balanced.
It totally is. It could be drunk anywhere. And if you were ever to come to Arizona, if you're listening outside of Arizona,
and get drunk anywhere.
It could get drunk anywhere.
Drinking
everywhere.
Drank.
Yep. But if you come to Arizona, we're going to get you a Tower Station beer. You know, like our buddy Scott and Charlie. Scott's a beer drinker. We talked to them on our New Zealand podcast about how they dealt with COVID. That's a few back too. He loves Tower Station. So we got to send him some. The problem is shipping to New Zealand is like ridiculous. It's like $100 to ship a package to New Zealand.
Yeah, it's better to buy him a plane ticket on Southwest right now because everything's half price.
Exactly right.
I don't think Southwest flies in New Zealand, though.
No, they don't. They do fly to Hawaii.
Phoenix.
But you can fly to Hawaii on Southwest and from Hawaii to New Zealand, probably.
I'm geographically illiterate, Rob. I don't even know how that works.
Don't worry about it. I'll show you later.
We'll explain it some other time. Okay, let's get out of here, homie.
So, Michael, from Mother Road, the founder and CEO, appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are the Brewmans. His name is Mike Russell. My name is Rob Hunter. Follow us on brewmans.beer on the Instagram at the _brewmans. You find us on Facebook. We're everywhere. But just make sure you subscribe and rate the podcast. That's how people find out about it, because all we want to do is bring people together for well-crafted conversation over a drink or two. Until next time.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I just saw what Trimmer sent us. That's funny.
Oh, I didn't see it yet.
The fight to get back to the office. Only 21% of workers have returned NYC compared to 50 in Dallas as bosses prepare for a standoff with reluctant staff who want to work from home forever.
We are a bunch of pussy. Well, I mean, I get, like, if you lived in New York and you had to commute, I understand.
Dude, for real, I'm with that. Yeah.
But
like, you basically just found, okay, this is really nice. Because I went to the store, like I said. I went to the store and to get the I didn't know if we'd want to take one of these in the morning. So I was being serious about the daily driver. And I was thinking, dude, this saves me. John's saving my family $12 a day in gas.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, serious. Saving $12 a day. And you think about how much that is times 5 times 4.
Oh, yeah.
Times
Absolutely.
12. Like, okay. There's some serious costs. It's like $1,000. Are you doing that? Yeah. Were you really doing that?
No, I wasn't doing that.
Oh, okay.
I was going up and I was like, nah, never mind.
Hold
on. That's, I get that. And it's time, right? If you drive an
280.
hour to work every day, each way, it's 2 hours in the car. You don't have to do that now? Shoot. Uh-oh. You freeze or I freeze?
I hate you, internet. Sorry, I'm back. It's 20. It's almost $3,000. Actually, it's over $3,000.
Yeah. So
that's
why
how much
I
pay in gas. That's how much I pay in gas. Get to work. On today, that's today's rates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a raise right there.
That's bullshit.
So I get it. Show. Let's do a wrap up. Like 30 seconds ish.
Didn't we just do that?
No, I mean, like, for the radio show portion.
Oh, I thought that's what that was for.
Well,
okay, cool.
We need to do a segment
I like
one.
It. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Don't care.
And then I'll just figure it out how to make it work.
All good.
Mm-hmm.
We can make another studio right here just like this and call it Intros, Outros. And just
Intros, Outros.
We can do it. It's no big deal. It's easy breezy.
Exactly.
I know. See? It's crazy technology.
Amazing.
All right, so what the fuck are we doing now?
All right, so you do a wrap up on segment 1. Give me about 25 to 30 seconds. And then you do intros and outros for segment 4, and then I'll do 2 and 3.
Okay, so an outro for 1. I am so confused, but I'm following you now. I'm following you now. I got you now. At
the end of 1, I was like, it's
outro
the tease
1.
ahead. Hey, this is Michael Marquise. He's the founder and CEO of Mother Road Brewing. We had him on the
How to say his
podcast.
name. Both of us
Well,
forgot how to say his name.
Marquise.
It's Marquez. It's no,
Marquise.
it was a because you said Marquise and then he corrected you. And then
Well,
I
I
wrote
said
it down.
Mark.
I tried to get it phonetically and I couldn't.
Well, Marquise is what I wrote.
Because if it was Marquise, I would have put Markees. But that's what I put. But because he put QUE like queeze, like Marquise or Marquoise.
Marquois.
I'm just going to
say Michael.
That's what I was saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this. Let's do a wrap up. Let's do an outro to 4 together as rate the beer, because we're gonna rate the beer real quick.
Cool.
And then when you get the segments chopped and we know what's coming in the next segment, we can tease ahead.
All right, cool.
If I was this, I'd say he jumped in a truck from Pennsylvania and drove down the Mother Road, and Mother Road and Tower Station. That kind of if that's going to be in the second segment.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but like I said, we can just jump on here and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's do it tomorrow. Or Friday or whatever.
Well, whenever.
Yeah, well, you got to send me the audio and I got to edit it. And that's
I'm playing.
Show. I'm just saying. All right, let's do a wrap up for segment 4. Like a minute-ish.
Yeah. So we're going to review the beer, or are we just going to include the review we did? See, that's the hard fucking part.
Well, let's just review it quickly. Like, look, this beer, banger. If you can get it, you got to get in Flagstaff. I don't know if they have any left, but whatever. They make 9s, and they only make 9s, and that's the way it is.
Okay. 3, 2, and 1. And a big thanks to Michael, the founder and CEO of Mother Road Brewing. This Belgian-style Tripel, their 9th anniversary beer. It is a 9. 9th anniversary. It is a 9. And it's limited. If you can get to Flagstaff, get there now. I don't care what you have to sell for gas money. Get up there and get this beer. It's fantastic.
It is. It's a good introduction to Tripels. It's got a Tripel-style taste to it, but it's not oppressive. Some Tripels go all the way in because that's what they are. This, not quite that. It's very good. I will match Mike's 9 here on the Brewman. So good job, Mother Road, once again. And the bottom line with Mother Road is they only make 9s. That's essentially what they do. Their beers are fantastic.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
All right.
All right, cool.
Okay.
We'll go get a shake, and I'll check back in about an hour.
It's about an hour. All right, buddy. See you then.
Cool.
See you, punk ass. None.